Pablo Picasso, one of the most celebrated artists in history, was born on October 25, 1881, in the city of Malaga, located in the Andalusian region of southern Spain. His birth was marked by a peculiar incident that would later become a part of family lore. He was so weak at birth that the attending doctor declared him stillborn, only for his uncle, a cigar smoker, to revive him by blowing smoke in his face. This dramatic entry into the world would set the stage for a life filled with passion, drama, and boundless creativity. Picasso's family played a crucial role in nurturing his artistic inclinations. His father, José Ruiz Blasco, was a painter and art professor specializing in naturalistic depictions of birds and landscapes. José recognized his son's precocious talent early on and provided him with formal art training. Under his father's guidance, Picasso learned the fundamentals of drawing and painting, mastering techniques far beyond his years. By the age of 7, Picasso could render detailed sketches with remarkable precision, foreshadowing his future as an artistic prodigy. Malaga, a bustling port city, was a source of inspiration and cultural diversity for the young Picasso. The vibrant streets, bustling markets, and colorful festivals left an indelible mark on his creative sensibilities. However, the city also bore the weight of economic struggles, and the Ruiz family faced financial instability. These early experiences of contrast between beauty and hardship would later resonate in Picasso's work, particularly in his emotive blue period. Picasso's family relocated to La Coruña in 1891 when José took a teaching position at the local School of Fine Arts. It was here that Picasso truly began to hone his craft, often spending hours sketching in his father's studio. By the age of 9, he had completed his first painting, Le Picador, which depicted a man on horseback in a bullfight. This early work demonstrated not only his technical ability, but also his affinity for Spanish traditions and cultural themes, which would persist throughout his career. Despite his burgeoning talent, Picasso's formal education was marked by ambivalence. He found traditional schooling stifling and often struggled to conform to the rigid expectations of his teachers. Instead, he poured his energy into art, spending long hours immersed in his sketchbooks. His precociousness often set him apart from his peers, and by the time he was a teenager, he was already regarded as an exceptional artist in local circles. In 1895, tragedy struck the family when Picasso's younger sister, Conchita, died of diphtheria at the age of 7. This devastating loss deeply affected the young Picasso and influenced his early works, many of which carried themes of grief and introspection. The family's subsequent move to Barcelona marked a turning point in Picasso's life, as the city's vibrant artistic community provided fertile ground for his burgeoning talent. Barcelona in the late 19th century was a hub of cultural innovation and political activism, and it exposed Picasso to a wide array of influences. He enrolled in the city's prestigious School of Fine Arts, where his exceptional skill earned him admission to advanced classes at the age of just 13. Here, Picasso began to experiment with different styles and techniques, moving beyond the classical traditions he had mastered under his father's tutelage. It was also during this period that Picasso became involved with a group of avant-garde artists and intellectuals who frequented the bohemian Café Els Cadregats. These interactions broadened his horizons and introduced him to new ideas about art, literature, and philosophy. The café became a formative space where Picasso engaged in lively debates and showcased his work, gaining early recognition within Barcelona's artistic circles. As Picasso's reputation grew, so did his ambition. In 1897, he left for Madrid to study at the Royal Academy of San Fernando, one of Spain's most prestigious art institutions. However, his rebellious spirit soon clashed with the Academy's conservative approach to art education. Disillusioned, Picasso spent more time exploring the Prado Museum, where he studied the works of Spanish masters such as El Greco, Velázquez, and Goya. These encounters with the greats of Spanish art history profoundly influenced his evolving style. Picasso's early years were marked by a relentless pursuit of artistic excellence and a determination to break free from convention. His childhood experiences, familial support, and exposure to diverse cultural influences laid the foundation for a career that would revolutionize the art world. The story of Picasso's beginnings is not just a tale of prodigious talent, but also one of resilience and the unyielding desire to create. Pablo Picasso's formative years as an artist were characterized by rigorous training, relentless practice, and a gradual breaking away from traditional artistic conventions. While his exceptional talent was evident from a young age, it was the structure provided by formal education and the influence of his mentors that laid the groundwork for his future innovations. This period was not only a time of technical mastery, but also one of self-discovery, as Picasso began to explore his unique artistic identity. Picasso's early education under his father, José Ruiz Blasco, was instrumental in shaping his technical abilities. José, himself an accomplished artist and art professor, insisted on strict discipline in his son's studies. Pablo was taught to focus on the meticulous details of classical art, such as anatomy, perspective, and proportion. These early lessons imbued Picasso with a profound understanding of academic art, which he would later challenge and deconstruct in his revolutionary work. Despite his young age, Picasso's precocity was evident in his ability to replicate the classical styles with near-professional skill. In 1895, the Ruiz family moved to Barcelona, where Picasso's formal education took a significant leap forward. He was admitted to the School of Fine Arts, known as La Loggia, after passing the entrance exam with astonishing speed. At just 13 years old, Picasso was placed in advanced classes alongside much older students. His professors recognized his exceptional ability, and some even conceded that he surpassed their own technical expertise. Yet, even as he excelled in the classroom, Picasso often found the rigidity of formal instruction stifling, preferring to explore his own creative instincts. During this time, Picasso began to seek inspiration beyond the walls of his classroom. Barcelona, with its dynamic cultural scene, proved to be a fertile environment for the young artist. The city was undergoing a modernist renaissance, and its architecture, literature, and art were imbued with innovation and experimentation. Picasso immersed himself in this vibrant atmosphere, frequenting Els Quatre Gats, a cafe that served as a gathering place for avant-garde artists and intellectuals. Here, he was exposed to new ideas that challenged traditional norms and encouraged creative freedom. In 1897, Picasso's journey as an artist took him to Madrid, where he enrolled at the Royal Academy of San Fernando. While the Academy was one of Spain's most prestigious art institutions, Picasso quickly grew disillusioned with its conservative approach to art education. He found the rigid adherence to classical techniques limiting and uninspiring. Rather than attending classes regularly, Picasso spent countless hours at the Prado Museum, studying the works of Spain's great masters. Paintings by El Greco, Velázquez, and Goya captivated him, and their influence began to surface in his evolving style. Despite his dissatisfaction with formal education, Picasso's time in Madrid marked an important phase in his artistic development. He began to experiment with themes of light, shadow, and emotional intensity, drawing inspiration from El Greco's dramatic compositions and elongated forms. At the same time, Velázquez's mastery of realism and Goya's evocative imagery deepened Picasso's appreciation for the power of storytelling in art. These influences, combined with his innate talent, allowed him to start developing a voice distinct from his contemporaries. Picasso's apprenticeship period was also marked by the duality of tradition and rebellion. While he respected the technical skills and craftsmanship of classical art, he felt a growing urge to break away from its constraints. This tension became evident in his sketches and paintings from the late 1890s, which began to exhibit a looser, more experimental approach. His works from this period, though rooted in realism, hinted at the abstract and emotive qualities that would later define his art. By 1899, Picasso had returned to Barcelona, where he began to actively engage with the city's modernist movement. He rekindled his association with the artists and writers at Els Quatre Gats, and his work began to reflect the influence of symbolism and other emerging artistic trends. This period of exploration allowed Picasso to refine his skills while simultaneously pushing the boundaries of his creativity. It was also during this time that he adopted his mother's maiden name, Picasso, as his professional moniker, signaling a break from tradition and the assertion of his individuality. As Picasso matured as an artist, his technical prowess and imaginative vision earned him growing recognition. He began to participate in exhibitions, where his work attracted both admiration and curiosity. However, he was not content to rest on his laurels. Picasso's insatiable drive for innovation and his willingness to take risks set him apart from his peers. While many artists of his generation remained confined to conventional styles, Picasso was already charting a path toward uncharted artistic territory. The years of apprenticeship were a critical foundation for Picasso's future achievements. They provided him with the tools, exposure, and confidence needed to embark on his journey as a pioneer of modern art. Even as he mastered traditional techniques, Picasso's restless spirit and unrelenting curiosity drove him to question and redefine the very nature of artistic expression. This blend of discipline and rebellion would become a hallmark of his career, setting the stage for the revolutionary movements he would later spearhead. The Blue Period, which spanned from 1901 to 1904, was a defining phase in Pablo Picasso's artistic journey. Marked by a somber palette and emotionally evocative themes, this period reflected the artist's personal struggles and a growing awareness of social injustices. It was during these years that Picasso began to develop a deeply introspective style, one that sought to capture the human condition in its rawest form. This transformative period in Picasso's life began after the tragic death of his close friend Carlos Casagemas. Casagemas, a fellow artist and confidant, took his own life in Paris after a failed romance. Picasso, who had been deeply affected by the loss, channeled his grief into his art. His works from this time are imbued with an overwhelming sense of melancholy, with blue tones dominating his canvases. The color blue, associated with sadness and introspection, became the visual language through which Picasso expressed his inner turmoil. The themes of the Blue Period were deeply personal, yet universal in their resonance. Picasso's paintings often depicted marginalized individuals, beggars, blind figures, and melancholic mothers with their children. These subjects reflected the artist's empathy for those living on the fringes of society. Works such as The Old Guitarist and La Vie are poignant examples of this focus, where human suffering and resilience are portrayed with haunting intensity. Picasso's ability to convey deep emotion through minimalist compositions demonstrated his growing mastery of visual storytelling. Financial hardship also played a significant role in shaping Picasso's art during this period. Living in relative poverty, the artist resided in small, modest quarters in Paris, often struggling to afford basic supplies. This economic struggle paralleled the lives of many of his subjects, further deepening the authenticity of his work. Despite these challenges, Picasso remained dedicated to his craft, creating pieces that resonated with both his personal experiences and broader societal issues. Paris, where Picasso spent much of the Blue Period, served as a backdrop for his artistic evolution. The city, while vibrant and culturally rich, also exposed him to the harsh realities of urban life. The juxtaposition of opulence and destitution in Paris provided ample inspiration for his explorations of human suffering. Moreover, the influence of symbolism, a literary and artistic movement prominent at the time, is evident in his work. Symbolist themes of existential despair and spiritual searching found their way into Picasso's haunting blue compositions. While the Blue Period is often associated with sadness, it was also a time of profound artistic growth. Picasso's exploration of form, color, and emotion during this phase laid the groundwork for his later innovations. He began to experiment with elongating figures, a stylistic choice that conveyed vulnerability and spiritual yearning. This shift from strict realism to a more interpretative approach foreshadowed the radical departures he would make in subsequent years. Picasso's experiences during the Blue Period were not limited to introspection and grief. They were also shaped by his interactions with other artists and intellectuals. He engaged with poets and thinkers who shared his interest in exploring the deeper aspects of human existence. These exchanges enriched his artistic vision and inspired him to push beyond conventional boundaries. Picasso's ability to synthesize personal emotion with broader cultural influences became a hallmark of his work during this time. Despite the critical acclaim that some of his Blue Period works received, Picasso struggled to achieve commercial success. The somber tone of his paintings did not align with the preferences of the art market, which often favored lighter, more decorative pieces. Nevertheless, Picasso remained committed to his vision, undeterred by financial difficulties or lack of widespread recognition. His unwavering dedication to authenticity and artistic integrity set him apart from his contemporaries. By 1904, the emotional weight of the Blue Period began to lift, giving way to the warmer tones and themes of the Rose Period. However, the impact of the Blue Period on Picasso's artistic identity was indelible. It was a time of reckoning, where the artist confronted his deepest fears and emotions, translating them into works of extraordinary power and beauty. This phase not only solidified his reputation as a deeply introspective artist, but also set the stage for the revolutionary contributions he would later make to the art world. The Blue Period remains one of the most iconic chapters in Picasso's career. It is a testament to his ability to transform personal pain into universal art, touching the hearts of audiences across generations. Through his mastery of color, form, and emotion, Picasso created works that continue to resonate, offering a poignant reminder of the resilience of the human spirit even in the face of profound sorrow. The Rose Period, spanning from 1904 to 1906, marked a pivotal transformation in Pablo Picasso's artistic journey. Following the somber tones and melancholic themes of his Blue Period, Picasso began to infuse his work with warmth, optimism, and a sense of playfulness. This shift was not merely a change in palette, but a reflection of a new phase in his personal life and artistic evolution. The Rose Period is characterized by lighter themes, a focus on humanity, and an exploration of color that highlighted Picasso's emerging versatility. Picasso's transition to the Rose Period coincided with a significant change in his personal circumstances. In 1904, he settled in the Montmartre district of Paris, a bohemian enclave bustling with artists, writers, and performers. This vibrant environment provided Picasso with a renewed sense of inspiration and community. His personal life also brightened as he formed a relationship with Fernande Olivier, a model and artist who became his muse during this period. The stability and affection he found in their relationship infused his work with a sense of joy and tenderness. One of the most striking features of the Rose Period is its departure from the predominantly blue palette of the preceding years. Picasso's canvases were now filled with warm hues, soft pinks, oranges, and earthy tones that exuded a sense of lightness and vitality. This change in color symbolized not only a shift in mood, but also a growing confidence in his ability to explore new artistic territories. The warm tones brought a sense of intimacy and humanity to his subjects, contrasting sharply with the desolation of his earlier works. The subjects of Picasso's Rose Period reflected his fascination with the human condition, particularly with performers, acrobats, and circus figures. These individuals, often depicted in moments of quiet introspection or camaraderie, became central to his compositions. Works such as Family of Saltimbanques and Boy with a Pipe capture the delicate balance between the performers' public personas and their private vulnerabilities. Through these depictions, Picasso demonstrated a deep empathy for those living on society's fringes, celebrating their resilience and artistry. This period also marked the beginning of Picasso's exploration of the human form in a more idealized and elongated manner. His figures, while still rooted in realism, began to exhibit a certain grace and fluidity. This stylistic evolution was influenced by his interest in classical art and his visits to the Louvre, where he studied the sculptures of ancient Greece and Rome. The elegance of these forms found its way into his work, adding a timeless quality to his depictions of performers and everyday people. The Rose Period was not only a time of emotional warmth, but also of artistic experimentation. Picasso began to explore the interplay between color, form, and composition in more nuanced ways. His use of pastel tones and soft gradients created a sense of harmony and balance that underscored the intimate moments he portrayed. This period demonstrated Picasso's growing mastery of the technical aspects of painting, as well as his ability to convey complex emotions with simplicity and elegance. Despite the apparent optimism of the Rose period, many of Picasso's works from this time carried an undercurrent of melancholy. While his circus performers and harlequins exuded charm and grace, their lives were often marked by hardship and transience. This duality, the juxtaposition of joy and sorrow, became a recurring theme in Picasso's art, reflecting his nuanced understanding of the human experience. It was this ability to capture both the light and shadow of existence that endeared his work to audiences and critics alike. The influence of Fernande Olivier on Picasso's art during the Rose period cannot be overstated. As his muse and companion, she appeared in numerous works, embodying the warmth and intimacy that defined this chapter of his career. Fernande's presence also marked a turning point in Picasso's personal life, as their relationship provided him with a sense of stability and inspiration. However, like many of Picasso's relationships, it was not without its complexities, and their eventual separation would leave a lasting impact on his life and work. While the Rose period was relatively brief, its significance in Picasso's artistic trajectory is profound. It represented a period of renewal and exploration, during which he refined his skills and broadened his thematic scope. This phase laid the groundwork for the groundbreaking developments that would follow, particularly his transition to the revolutionary Cubist movement. The warmth and humanity of the Rose period provided a counterpoint to the abstraction and innovation that would later define his career. In retrospect, the Rose period serves as a testament to Picasso's ability to adapt, evolve, and find beauty in diverse aspects of life. It is a celebration of the human spirit, captured through the eyes of an artist who is unafraid to explore the full spectrum of emotion. The works of this period remain enduring symbols of resilience, creativity, and the transformative power of art. Through the soft glow of the Rose period, Picasso solidified his place as an artist capable of evoking both the joy and complexity of existence. The years following Picasso's Rose period saw one of the most groundbreaking shifts in the history of art, the birth of Cubism. Spanning from 1907 to roughly 1914, this revolutionary movement marked Picasso's deliberate departure from traditional forms and perspectives, challenging the very foundations of artistic representation. Alongside his collaborator Georges Braque, Picasso redefined the language of art, creating a style that sought to depict subjects from multiple viewpoints simultaneously. This radical approach not only transformed Picasso's career, but also ushered in a new era of modern art. The genesis of Cubism can be traced to Picasso's fascination with non-Western art forms and his desire to push beyond the confines of realism. In 1907, he encountered African masks and sculptures at the Musée d'Ethnographie du Trocadero in Paris. These works, with their abstract forms and symbolic power, left a profound impression on him. Picasso was struck by their ability to convey complex ideas and emotions without relying on traditional Western notions of beauty or perspective. This exposure planted the seeds for the development of a new visual language that prioritized structure and essence over surface appearance. One of the pivotal works that signaled Picasso's transition into Cubism was Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, 1907. This monumental painting shattered conventional norms of composition and perspective, presenting a group of figures in fragmented, geometric forms. Inspired by African art and Iberian sculpture, Picasso broke with the Renaissance tradition of linear perspective, instead offering a multiplicity of viewpoints on a single canvas. The work's raw energy and daring execution shocked contemporaries and marked a decisive turning point in Picasso's artistic evolution. The early phase of Cubism, often referred to as analytical Cubism, emerged in collaboration with Georges Braque between 1908 and 1912. Together, Picasso and Braque sought to deconstruct objects into their fundamental geometric components, reducing forms to a series of planes and facets. Their works often featured muted tones, grays, browns, and ochres that emphasize form over color, drawing attention to the structural complexity of their compositions. Paintings like Picasso's Girl with a Mandolin and Braque's Violin and Palette exemplify this analytical approach, where objects seem to dissolve into intricate, fragmented layers. A defining characteristic of analytical cubism was its exploration of simultaneity, the idea that multiple perspectives could coexist within a single image. This concept reflected a broader philosophical shift in the early 20th century, as advances in science and technology challenged linear notions of time and space. Picasso's art mirrored these cultural changes, offering a new way of seeing the world that aligned with the intellectual ferment of the era. By 1912, Cubism entered a new phase known as synthetic cubism, characterized by a more playful and experimental approach. Unlike the fragmented complexity of analytical cubism, synthetic cubism introduced bold colors, simplified shapes, and collage elements. Picasso and Braque began incorporating materials like newspaper clippings, wallpaper, and sheet music into their works, blurring the boundaries between fine art and everyday objects. This technique, known as papier-collé, added a tactile dimension to their compositions and expanded the possibilities of artistic expression. The advent of synthetic cubism marked Picasso's growing interest in the interplay between representation and abstraction. Works like Still Life with Chair Caning, 1912, exemplify this phase, where Picasso juxtaposed painted elements with a piece of printed oilcloth that mimicked chair caning. By incorporating real-world materials into his art, Picasso challenged the traditional notion that painting was a purely illusionistic medium. This innovation not only expanded the scope of Cubism, but also influenced future movements like Dada and Surrealism. Cubism's impact on the art world was both immediate and far-reaching. It inspired a generation of artists, including Juan Gris, Fernand Léger, and Robert Delaunay, to experiment with abstraction and reinterpret traditional forms. Beyond painting, Cubism influenced architecture, sculpture, literature, and even music, reflecting its status as a revolutionary cultural movement. Picasso, at the center of this creative storm, solidified his reputation as a trailblazer who was unafraid to challenge conventions. Despite its revolutionary nature, Cubism was not without its critics. Some dismissed it as overly intellectual or inaccessible, while others accused Picasso and Braque of abandoning the emotional depth of earlier art forms. Yet, these criticisms only underscored the radical nature of their work. Picasso's ability to provoke and inspire debate became one of his defining traits, ensuring that his art remained at the forefront of cultural discourse. The birth of Cubism represents a watershed moment in Picasso's career and in the history of art. It exemplifies his relentless pursuit of innovation and his willingness to take risks in the name of creative exploration. Through Cubism, Picasso demonstrated that art could be more than a mirror of reality. It could be a tool for reimagining the world and questioning its underlying structures. This spirit of experimentation and reinvention would continue to define Picasso's work in the decades to come, solidifying his legacy as one of the most influential artists of all time. Pablo Picasso's commitment to exploring the human condition took on a deeply political dimension during the 1930s and 1940s, a period dominated by the rise of fascism and the outbreak of World War II. At the heart of this chapter in his career stands Guernica, 1937, a monumental painting that has become an enduring symbol of anti-war sentiment. This era in Picasso's life reflects his evolution from an artist focused on personal and aesthetic exploration to one who used his art as a tool for social commentary and resistance. The origins of Guernica lie in the Spanish Civil War, 1936 to 1939, a conflict that deeply affected Picasso as a native Spaniard. In 1936, the Spanish Republican government appointed him as the honorary director of the Prado Museum, a role that tied him symbolically to the struggle against General Francisco Franco's fascist forces. Though Picasso had previously avoided overt political statements in his art, the atrocities of the war compelled him to engage with the political turmoil of his homeland. The bombing of the town of Guernica on April 26, 1937, by German and Italian warplanes supporting Franco, marked a turning point. The attack, which targeted civilians, resulted in widespread devastation and loss of life, shocking the international community. Picasso, living in Paris at the time, was deeply affected by the news. Commissioned by the Spanish Republican government to create a mural for the 1937 World's Fair in Paris, Picasso chose to make the bombing of Guernica the subject of his work. Guernica is a masterpiece of symbolic and emotional power, standing at nearly 11 feet tall and 25 feet wide. Painted in stark black, white, and gray, the mural captures the horror and chaos of war through a fragmented, Cubist-inspired composition. Figures of suffering dominate the canvas. A weeping mother holding her dead child, a wounded horse writhing in agony, and a bull symbolizing brutality and darkness. The absence of color heightens the sense of despair, creating an atmosphere of timeless mourning. Unlike traditional depictions of war, Guernica does not glorify heroism or victory. Instead, it focuses on the suffering of innocent civilians, making it a universal condemnation of violence. The painting's fragmented forms and distorted figures convey the disorientation and trauma of war, challenging viewers to confront the human cost of conflict. Its abstraction allows it to transcend its historical context, making it relevant to subsequent generations facing their own struggles against oppression. The reception of Guernica was immediate and powerful. First displayed at the Spanish pavilion of the 1937 World's Fair, it drew widespread attention and became a rallying cry for anti-fascist movements. Following the fair, the painting toured extensively in Europe and the Americas, raising awareness about the Spanish Civil War and the broader dangers of fascism. Its emotional impact resonated with audiences far beyond the art world, cementing Picasso's reputation as a politically engaged artist. While Guernica is the centerpiece of this era, it is not the only work in which Picasso grappled with the themes of war and suffering. His drawings, prints, and sculptures from the late 1930s and early 1940s often depict scenes of anguish and destruction. Works like The Weeping Woman, 1937, a series of portraits inspired by one of the figures in Guernica, explore the psychological toll of loss and despair. These pieces demonstrate Picasso's ability to translate individual grief into universal imagery. Picasso's political engagement during this period extended beyond his art. He joined the Communist Party in 1944, a decision that reflected his alignment with leftist ideals and his opposition to fascism. While his relationship with the party was complex, he often resisted ideological constraints. His association with communism underscored his belief in the artist's role as a voice for social justice. Picasso's fame made him a cultural ambassador for progressive causes, and his art became a powerful tool for advocacy. The Guernica era also highlighted the tension between Picasso's personal life and his public persona. As he took on the mantle of a political artist, he faced criticism from both supporters and detractors. Some questioned whether an artist as celebrated and wealthy as Picasso could truly understand the struggles of ordinary people. Others praised his ability to use his platform to amplify the voices of the oppressed. Through it all, Picasso remained committed to his vision, demonstrating that art could be both deeply personal and profoundly political. Guernica remains one of the most iconic works of art in history, a testament to Picasso's genius and his capacity for empathy. It exemplifies his ability to transform personal outrage and grief into a universal statement against injustice. The painting continues to resonate as a symbol of resistance to violence, its stark imagery reminding viewers of the human cost of war. Through Guernica and his works of this era, Picasso solidified his legacy not only as a revolutionary artist, but also as a moral witness, unafraid to confront the darkest aspects of humanity. Following the devastation of World War II, Pablo Picasso entered a new chapter in his life and career, one defined by reinvention, prolific output, and increasing global recognition. The post-war years, spanning the late 1940s through the 1950s, were marked by both personal transformation and artistic experimentation. Picasso, already an icon of modern art, embraced his role as a cultural giant while continuing to explore new mediums, themes, and styles. This era reflects his enduring vitality as an artist and his adaptability in the face of changing times. One of the most significant developments in Picasso's post-war life was his move to the south of France. Settling in towns such as Valoris and Antibes, he immersed himself in the Mediterranean lifestyle, drawing inspiration from the region's rich artistic and cultural heritage. This period was characterized by a sense of renewal and optimism, as the serene landscapes and vibrant light of the French Riviera influenced his work. Picasso's return to classical themes, such as mythological figures and idyllic scenes, reflected his newfound connection to the Mediterranean tradition. In Valoris, Picasso became deeply involved in ceramics, a medium he had previously explored only briefly. Collaborating with local artisans at the Madura Pottery Workshop, he produced thousands of unique pieces, ranging from plates and vases to sculptural works. This shift to ceramics allowed Picasso to experiment with three-dimensional forms and surface textures, showcasing his boundless creativity. His ceramics were both playful and sophisticated, blending traditional craftsmanship with his signature modernist flair. Picasso's personal life during this period was equally transformative. In 1946, he began a relationship with Françoise Gillet, a young artist who became his partner and muse. Françoise, who was intellectually and artistically independent, brought a new energy to Picasso's life. Together, they had two children, Claude and Paloma, whose presence further enriched Picasso's work. Family scenes and depictions of motherhood became recurring motifs in his art, reflecting his evolving role as a father. Despite the domestic harmony he found with Françoise, their relationship was not without tension. Picasso's domineering personality and infidelity eventually led to their separation in 1953. Nevertheless, Françoise remained an important influence on his work during their time together, and her memoirs provide valuable insights into Picasso's creative process and personal struggles. His relationships, often turbulent, continued to shape both his personal narrative and his artistic output. The post-war years also saw Picasso reaffirm his commitment to political activism. A member of the Communist Party since 1944, he became an outspoken advocate for peace, using his art to promote his ideals. One of his most famous works from this period is Dove of Peace, 1949, which became an international symbol of the peace movement. Picasso's involvement in political causes, including the World Peace Congress, demonstrated his belief in the power of art to inspire change. While Picasso's political engagement earned him admiration from many, it also attracted criticism. His affiliation with the Communist Party led to accusations of hypocrisy and opportunism, particularly given his privileged lifestyle. Some questioned the sincerity of his political convictions, while others criticized his lack of direct involvement in grassroots activism. Nonetheless, Picasso's art continued to serve as a platform for his ideals, reflecting his complex relationship with politics. In terms of artistic innovation, the post-war years were marked by Picasso's exploration of various mediums and techniques. He experimented with printmaking, producing works that range from lithographs to linocuts, each showcasing his mastery of line and form. Sculpture also became a major focus, with Picasso creating large-scale works from unconventional materials such as metal and plaster. His willingness to embrace new challenges and mediums underscored his enduring curiosity and refusal to be constrained by convention. As Picasso's fame grew, so did his status as a global cultural figure. Retrospectives of his work were held in major cities around the world, solidifying his position as a living legend. In 1949, he was honored with a solo exhibition at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, a testament to his influence on contemporary art. Picasso's ability to continuously reinvent himself and his art captivated audiences, ensuring his relevance across generations. The post-war years encapsulate Picasso's remarkable versatility and resilience as an artist. Whether through ceramics, sculpture, or his continued exploration of painting, he demonstrated an unrelenting drive to innovate and experiment. His ability to adapt to new contexts while remaining true to his vision is a testament to his genius. This period in his life not only cemented his legacy as one of the most important artists of the 20th century, but also highlighted his enduring commitment to using art as a means of personal expression and social engagement. As Pablo Picasso aged, his creativity and output showed no signs of diminishing. The final decades of his life, spanning the 1960s and early 1970s, were marked by an extraordinary burst of energy and a fearless approach to artistic exploration. During this period, Picasso embraced his status as a living legend while continuing to challenge conventions, reinvent himself, and produce works that reflected both his personal experiences and his dialogue with art history. These years are a testament to the unrelenting spirit of an artist who refused to be confined by age or expectations. One of the defining features of Picasso's late work is its sheer prolificacy. Despite being in his 70s and 80s, Picasso worked tirelessly, producing thousands of paintings, drawings, sculptures, prints, and ceramics. His output during this time was often characterized by bold experimentation and an almost frenetic energy. Freed from the pressures of critical approval, Picasso seemed to work primarily for himself, creating with an abandon that reflected his passion for art and his defiance of time. A recurring theme in Picasso's late works is his engagement with the history of art. He revisited the masters who had inspired him earlier in his career, such as Diego Velázquez, Edouard Manet, and Eugene Delacroix. In a series of reinterpretations, Picasso recreated iconic works like Velázquez's Los Meninas and Manet's Luncheon on the Grass, reimagining them through his unique lens. These homages were not mere exercises in mimicry, but a way for Picasso to assert his place within the continuum of art history, dialoguing with the past while asserting his modernist vision. Picasso's late period also saw a renewed focus on themes of love, intimacy, and mortality. His relationship with Jacqueline Roque, whom he married in 1961, played a central role in his life and art during this time. Jacqueline appeared in numerous works, often depicted with an air of devotion and tenderness. She became a muse and companion in his later years, embodying the complex interplay of vitality and contemplation that defined Picasso's late oeuvre. Despite the serenity suggested by some of his portraits of Jacqueline, Picasso's art during this period also grappled with darker themes. As he aged, he became increasingly aware of his mortality, and this awareness found expression in his work. Images of aging men, tormented faces, and existential struggles began to appear more frequently. However, these themes were often juxtaposed with a sense of defiance and vitality, as if Picasso were confronting death with the same irrepressible energy that had characterized his life. One of the most notable stylistic features of Picasso's late work is its raw, almost primitive quality. His lines became looser and more gestural, and his compositions often conveyed a sense of urgency. This shift was not indicative of a decline in skill, but rather a deliberate choice, reflecting his desire to strip art down to its essentials. Picasso's late works are imbued with an immediacy and emotional intensity that resonate deeply, offering a glimpse into the mind of an artist who remained unflinchingly honest until the end. In addition to painting and sculpture, Picasso continued to experiment with printmaking and ceramics during his later years. His linocuts, in particular, showcased his ability to innovate within a traditional medium. Using a reductive technique that required meticulous planning, Picasso created intricate, multicolored prints that demonstrated his mastery of line, texture, and composition. These works, like much of his late output, reveal his unceasing curiosity and willingness to push boundaries. Picasso's late period was not without its controversies. Critics were divided over the quality of his later works, with some dismissing them as overly simplistic or self-indulgent. Others, however, recognized the boldness and authenticity of his late style, arguing that it reflected the unfiltered expression of an artist at the height of his creative powers. Regardless of the critical debates, Picasso's late works have been increasingly appreciated in recent years for their emotional depth and innovative spirit. As Picasso's fame grew, so did his influence on younger generations of artists. His ability to continually reinvent himself, and defy expectations served as an inspiration to figures such as Francis Bacon, Andy Warhol, and Jean-Michel Basquiat. Picasso's late works, with their vibrant energy and fearless experimentation, demonstrated that creativity knows no age, offering a powerful example of artistic longevity. Picasso's final years were spent in the quiet village of Mugens in the south of France, where he continued to create until his death on April 8, 1973, at the age of 91. His passing marked the end of an extraordinary life, but his legacy lives on in the countless works he left behind. The art of Picasso's late period stands as a testament to his unrelenting drive to explore, innovate, and express. Even as he faced the twilight of his life, Picasso remained a force of nature, proving that the creative spirit is boundless and eternal. Pablo Picasso's legacy is one that transcends the boundaries of time, geography, and artistic discipline. As one of the most influential figures in the history of art, his impact extends far beyond his own era, reaching into the realms of culture, politics, and global consciousness. Picasso not only transformed the visual language of art, but also reshaped the way we understand creativity, innovation, and the role of the artist in society. This chapter explores how Picasso's legacy has been maintained, adapted, and celebrated, both within the world of art and in broader cultural contexts. At the core of Picasso's legacy is his role as a pioneer of modernism. Through his development of Cubism, Picasso challenged the very foundations of artistic representation, introducing new ways of perceiving and depicting the world. His exploration of abstraction, multiple perspectives, and the deconstruction of form altered the course of art history, paving the way for movements such as Futurism, Dada, and Surrealism. These movements, in turn, influenced a generation of artists who sought to break away from tradition and explore the limits of artistic expression. Picasso's innovations not only changed the visual arts, but also impacted sculpture, literature, and even architecture. One of the most enduring aspects of Picasso's legacy is his status as a symbol of artistic genius. His ability to reinvent himself throughout his career, constantly pushing the boundaries of his medium, has made him an icon of creativity and versatility. As a result, Picasso is often considered the quintessential artist, someone who was never satisfied with the status quo and always sought to challenge the conventions of his time. This tireless quest for innovation continues to serve as a benchmark for aspiring artists and creative individuals across disciplines, encouraging them to embrace risk and experimentation in their own work. Beyond his technical achievements, Picasso's art became a powerful tool for social commentary. Works like Guernica, with its harrowing depiction of the horrors of war, exemplified his belief in the artist's responsibility to respond to the world around them. Picasso's political activism, particularly his opposition to fascism and his support for peace, reinforced the idea that art could serve as a form of resistance. Guernica continues to be an enduring symbol of anti-war sentiment, and Picasso's legacy as a politically engaged artist remains central to how we understand his contributions to art. His ability to use his platform to address global issues has inspired countless artists to embrace their social and political responsibilities. Picasso's influence extends far beyond the art world, touching upon popular culture, fashion, and even advertising. His visual language has been appropriated and referenced in a variety of contexts, from films and music videos to product designs and merchandise. Picasso's signature style, marked by fragmented forms, bold lines, and expressive color palettes, has become synonymous with modernity and creativity. His influence can be seen in the works of contemporary artists such as Jeff Koons, Damien Hirst, and Banksy, who draw upon Picasso's ability to blend high art with popular culture. In addition to his influence on living artists, Picasso's legacy is preserved through the countless museums and institutions dedicated to his work. The Musée Picasso in Paris, the Picasso Museum in Barcelona, and the Musée Picasso in Antibes are just a few examples of the major institutions that house his art, ensuring that future generations will have access to his masterpieces. These museums not only serve as custodians of Picasso's art, but also as centers for scholarly research, education, and public engagement. The continued interest in Picasso's work as reflected in the numerous exhibitions and retrospectives held around the world, speaks to the enduring relevance of his art. However, Picasso's legacy is not without its complexities. His personal life, marked by numerous relationships, infidelities, and controversies, has often overshadowed his artistic achievements in the public eye. His treatment of women, in particular, has been a source of ongoing scrutiny, as many of his romantic relationships were marked by intense power dynamics and emotional turbulence. This aspect of Picasso's life has led some to question how we should reconcile his personal failings with his artistic genius. Nevertheless, his ability to simultaneously embody both personal flaws and artistic greatness serves as a reminder of the complexity of the human experience. In the decades since his death, Picasso's influence has only grown, and his work continues to be an object of fascination, debate, and admiration. Art critics, historians, and curators have dissected every phase of his career, offering new interpretations and insights into his work. As our understanding of Picasso's life and art continues to evolve, so too does the scope of his influence. Contemporary debates about the role of the artist in society, the intersection of politics and art, and the commodification of artistic labor all owe much to Picasso's example. Moreover, Picasso's legacy is embodied in the way his work challenges our understanding of art itself. By rejecting traditional boundaries and redefining the role of the artist, Picasso opened the door for future generations to explore the full range of human expression. He dismantled the notion that art must adhere to strict rules and conventions, creating a space for experimentation, spontaneity, and personal expression. In this sense, Picasso's legacy is not only about the specific artworks he created, but also about the broader cultural shift he catalyzed, a shift that continues to shape the world of art today. Ultimately, Picasso's legacy is multifaceted and ever-expanding. His influence can be seen in the continued relevance of his works, in the enduring impact he had on his contemporaries, and in the ways his art has become part of our collective cultural consciousness. Picasso was not just an artist. He was a force of nature whose contributions to the world of art and beyond continue to reverberate through time. His legacy is a reminder that art, in all its forms, has the power to transform the world and the way we see it. As long as his works continue to be studied, exhibited, and celebrated, Picasso's presence will remain an indelible part of the artistic and cultural landscape. Pablo Picasso's journey through the 20th century culminated in a legacy that still resonates profoundly in the 21st century. While many of the movements, ideologies, and historical contexts he engaged with are now a distant memory, the relevance of Picasso's work remains steadfast. Far from being a mere relic of a bygone era, Picasso continues to be a touchstone for modern artists, cultural critics, and art enthusiasts alike. His ability to break barriers, both in terms of style and subject matter, ensures that his work is as significant today as it was during his lifetime. This final chapter reflects on the ongoing relevance of Picasso, examining how his influence endures in contemporary art, culture, and society. One of the primary reasons for Picasso's continued relevance is the timelessness of his work. His ability to capture universal human experiences, such as love, pain, loss, and conflict, has ensured that his art speaks to people across different generations and cultural contexts. Whether it is the raw emotion of Guernica or the tender simplicity of his later works, Picasso's art transcends the temporal boundaries of the 20th century. The themes he explored, such as the human condition, war, and political unrest, remain just as pertinent in the contemporary world, making his work not only historically significant, but eternally relatable. In the realm of contemporary art, Picasso's legacy continues to be a touchstone for innovation and experimentation. Modern artists consistently engage with his groundbreaking contributions, particularly his role in the development of abstraction, collage, and mixed media. Artists like Jean-Michel Basquiat, Andy Warhol, and Damien Hirst have all cited Picasso as an influence, with his bold experimentation with form and material inspiring new generations to push the boundaries of their own artistic practices. Picasso's unrelenting pursuit of originality and his willingness to explore unconventional methods has provided a blueprint for countless artists who aim to break free from tradition and express their individuality. Moreover, Picasso's influence extends beyond traditional visual art forms. His impact can be seen in fields such as fashion, design, and even film. Designers have frequently referenced Picasso's iconic shapes, fragmented forms, and vivid color palettes in their work. The world of haute couture has drawn on his aesthetic, using Cubist-inspired patterns and motifs to evoke a sense of modernity and artistic flair. In the realm of film, directors such as Alain Resnais and Woody Allen have drawn from Picasso's visual storytelling, using his fragmented and disjointed approach to composition as a stylistic tool to depict complex narratives and emotions. Picasso's reach, therefore, continues to be felt across multiple creative industries, cementing his role as a global cultural figure. In addition to his influence on visual and popular culture, Picasso's impact can be seen in the continued study and academic exploration of his life and work. Scholars across disciplines, including art history, philosophy, and sociology, continue to delve into Picasso's multifaceted contributions. His work provides a rich source of analysis, as it invites discussions on topics such as the nature of artistic genius, the role of politics in art, and the dynamics between personal identity and artistic creation. Picasso's ability to embody contradictions, his simultaneous pursuit of both personal expression and universal relevance, has made him a subject of ongoing scholarly debate. While Picasso's artistic legacy is unparalleled, his personal life remains a subject of continued fascination and controversy. The complexities of his relationships, particularly his treatment of women, have sparked a re-examination of his work in recent years. Critics and feminists have raised questions about the ways in which Picasso's relationships with his female muses and lovers are reflected in his art, often depicting them in idealized or tortured forms. These debates challenge the myth of Picasso as a purely virtuous genius and ask whether we can reconcile his artistic achievements with his personal shortcomings. Yet, it is precisely these complexities that make Picasso a subject of continued cultural relevance. His life and art invite ongoing conversation about the intersection of the personal and the creative. Furthermore, Picasso's position as an icon of modernity continues to shape how we think about the role of the artist in society. In an age where the concept of the artist as a public intellectual and activist is still evolving, Picasso remains a model of the artist as a cultural force. His political engagement, particularly in his opposition to fascism and his advocacy for peace, shows that art can be a powerful vehicle for social change. In a world increasingly fraught with political unrest, environmental crises, and human rights issues, Picasso's example serves as a reminder of the potential for art to provoke dialogue and influence the course of history. The digital age has also played a role in ensuring the continued relevance of Picasso. The widespread availability of his work through online platforms, digital archives, and social media has made his art more accessible than ever before. Virtual exhibitions, digital reproductions, and online discussions allow a global audience to engage with his work, ensuring that Picasso's influence is not limited to the confines of galleries and museums. The internet has democratized access to his art, making it possible for people of all ages, backgrounds, and locations to experience his creations firsthand. Moreover, Picasso's legacy is maintained through the ongoing preservation and exhibition of his work. Institutions such as the Musée Picasso in Paris, the Picasso Museum in Barcelona, and the Picasso Museum in Malaga continue to showcase his work, drawing millions of visitors each year. These museums not only serve as guardians of Picasso's artistic contributions, but also as spaces for education and engagement. Through exhibitions, workshops, and public programs, these institutions ensure that Picasso's legacy remains a dynamic part of contemporary cultural discourse. Finally, the relevance of Picasso in the 21st century is exemplified by the ongoing impact of his art on the collective imagination. Picasso's work has become synonymous with modern art itself, representing both the power of individual creativity and the potential for artistic revolution. His influence can be seen in the ways in which contemporary artists challenge conventions, break down barriers, and continually redefine the possibilities of artistic expression. Picasso's ability to create art that is both deeply personal and universally resonant ensures that his legacy will continue to inspire, provoke, and shape the future of art for generations to come. In conclusion, Picasso's legacy is one of boundless creativity, lasting influence, and profound cultural significance. His work transcends the specific historical context in which it was created, resonating with audiences in the present day as strongly as it did when it was first produced. Picasso's artistic innovations, his commitment to political engagement, and his continued influence on contemporary culture ensure that he remains an icon for the 21st century. As we continue to reflect on his life and work, we are reminded that the power of art lies not only in the ability to reflect the world, but also in the ability to transform it.